You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey, this is Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. What's going on, Charge?
Oh, not much going on. Well, actually, a lot going on. We're only about 13 hours or so away from the tip-off of TBT, and what a day it's been. So, obviously, if you follow the TBT, it's been a wild ride with players moving in, players moving out, really throwing a wrench into some GM's plans, but that's the nature of TBT. So, wild day in the TBT world.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's really crazy. And this New Mexico region is really going to be one of my favorites. It's very top heavy. And there's some really good teams there, but it should be a pretty interesting thing. And if I seem a little discombobulated early on, surprisingly, we didn't think we were going to have a guest, but we may have just actually gotten a guest. I want to bring him on before we lose him, because I know he's busy. So we're going to go ahead and bring on Mr. Mike Illiano, the GM of formerly Team 23, now the hybrid of Team 23 and Heartfire. Mike, what is going on in New Mexico?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for taking the time out. I know you're slammed out there.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what kind of hotel are you in? What's it? Go ahead.
This is a Marriott, the Marriott Pyramid in Albuquerque. It's like one of those cube. Yeah, it's like one of those cube hotels. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
No, what is that?
It's shaped like a giant square, and outside of every room, you could see the center of the hotel.
Oh, it's got a big.
Oh, yeah. The one like Little Rock is that same design. So yes, it's got pretty much balconies overlooking the plaza down below. I got a bad story at the Little Rock one, so I won't share that today.
There was a great story about Hunter S. Thompson actually getting completely drunk at the Super Bowl and prophesizing of the Book of Mormon outside and screaming at people one morning. So that sounds like a delightful time. So, Mike, it's because we value your time. We thank you for coming on. I know you guys are busy. Real quick, before we get into high-level stuff about the roster and stuff, tell us a little bit, how's training camp gone? How is the early returns looking for the team?
It's looking good. We practiced yesterday. We did a 2-a-day today. Everybody looks pretty sharp. We're waiting on a couple of guys to come in. Marcus Hall, oddly, was in the TMAC one-on-one tournament for $250,000, and he just lost tonight.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah,
that's tough. And, I mean, it keeps him rested for use in a way. It's just a damn shame, but it does suck for him.
Yeah. And Craig Sword is still with the Wizards Summer League, but they'll both be here.
We saw that was at Summer League. You were Michael. You were invited to come hang out. You were missed, by the way. Matt says hi. It would have been great to have you there. It could have done a little low-level gambling and drinking. But Craig looks really good off the bench for the Summer League team. He had a lot of energy, a lot of juice for the Wizards.
Yeah. So. Craig, he's going to bring a lot to us. We're a little different this year. Like with the merge, the team is a little different in certain ways. But
what? Why don't you elaborate there? So we want to value your time. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You want to elaborate how we're different?
Yeah, Mike, it's your table. You're taking the time to talk to us. Go ahead.
I think we have actually more depth than we had last year. We're very, very long, and it's going to be interesting. Like when you see us,
going to laugh.
Yeah, like it's going to be interesting. You're going to be like, "Oh my god, all these guys are like the same size."
It's so long,
so long, so much upside, so much length.
Yeah.
They're all adding inches, which is something I've been accused of before in my life, definitely. So it's interesting. I want to talk a little bit about the whole thing, because this is something, and we were actually, before we all got busy, we're going to have you on later to talk about what to merge, because this has been a really big trend in TBT this year, is the concept of power teams either merging or we have a sponsor. And Team 23, which, and we're going to respect the quality of Team 23. We're going to refer to Heartfire this whole time as Heartfire Team 23, because they really are a blended team. And obviously the Heartfire brand is the one you guys chose to go with. In fact, you'll see their team card shows the Team 23 record. So first of all, what went into the merger? Like, how was this decision made?
Believe it or not, the sponsor was the same. And our sponsor, Mark Dyer, his brother, Stephen Dyer, he's a retired doctor. and he retired, and he went over to like underprivileged countries to do free surgeries. So he does like 1,000 surgeries a year. So that's what the Heartfire like brand is. So, you know, to us, it was just easier, you know, like where am I going with Team 23? Is Michael Jordan
Sure.
actually gonna like, you know, pick up a phone and call? Like
It's
at
unlikely.
least like, yeah, it's unlikely. Like, so like here, Heartfire, we're playing for a cause, and I won't lie, like he's been great with us. Like the players are all getting along. It's just it's a good marriage. It's a good marriage.
That makes sense. I assume the players belong because also you've assembled quite the roster here. I mean, again, and this is where we put our usual caveat in. Some of these players have actually, I know you're missing one of these guys, I believe Oshifu, I believe, is out, right?
Yeah, I think he needs like back surgery. Like he's had some back problems. I know he took a cortisone shot. So he
So you
probably won't
added
be.
Calvin Godfrey, Memphis legend Calvin Godfrey, to help out.
Yeah.
So
And
talk
we
about
added,
this. Go ahead, please.
oh no, and we added Larry Owens.
Oh, that's right.
That's not a bad ad at all. Yeah. So first of all, the only reason, and I charge, don't worry, you should get in here too. I'm monopolizing competition. So tell me to shut up. That's why you have microphones. That's why we're on headphones. You could just yell at me and interrupt me now, Charge. That's the whole point of having microphones.
No, you're going strong here. You're going strong. So
we'll get it after this, but I will say this. So Mike, I'm going to go ahead and give you my curse here. Heartfire's my pick to win the whole thing. This is my selection. You're my selection to win the whole thing, which is not what you want to hear. Not what you want to hear, obviously, because I'm not very lucky. But my biggest concern is teams that go deep, which 23 did, have a tendency to crap out early in the return trip. So how can Heartfire 23 avoid this?
I mean, am I supposed to give like the political answer that every team that lost the year before gives?
We have dozens of listeners. Answer however the fuck you please. Nobody listens to this show.
Honestly, like I'm not thinking about last year. Last year is last year. All I'm thinking about is Monday against Competitive Choice, and that's all the guys are thinking about. And then if we get past that, I'll think about the next game and the next game. If we're going to avoid being one of those teams, we just have to do it one game at a time.
Yeah, no, this team here is pretty much the core of last year with some really, really big additions. Obviously, you brought Toyo in exchange for Griffin, so that's pretty much a push. But when you look at getting Brandon Roselle, getting DeAndre Liggins, those are some really, really good veteran players. So when you look to backfill this team, what was your main priority?
I was thinking to myself that I want to be deep. I want to come at teams in waves. And I want everyone to be interchangeable. Like one guy leaves the floor and there's someone equally as talented coming in. And then, of course, like I have a secret sauce of things that I'm looking for that, you know.
Are proprietary and not to be released publicly.
Yeah. I mean, everybody does. Everybody has their own, like, secret sauce of things that they want and things that they don't want. So there's a way that I philosophize like building a team that, you know, there's other teams that do it, but it's just knowing who not to take is a skill set sometimes. And it stinks because there's so many talented players.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, and look at this roster too. You got Liggins is a huge ad. I mean, he's a big scorer. And obviously Putney fills up the stat sheet in so many ways. You got multiple guys in Hall, Boatwright, you can take the final shot. Like, you really do have a lot of guys. Is there a slight concern because you have such talent not be able to find a hierarchy late in games? That was my concern last year, and you guys made it work despite having so much talent. Is that something that like you've talked about? Like, is there such a problem as too many cooks in the kitchen?
I think Terry Hughes kind of dispelled that notion last year.
He did.
Like, you know, that was everyone's naysaying on them. Like, I don't know if they could all handle the ball, and they're arguably one of the best teams in the tournament. So, I mean, I think they can handle it. Listen, they're all pros. Like, I choose older guys for a reason. They've been there. They've been through the trenches. Like they know what they're doing. They know how to defer.
Yeah, and you
And also, you
mentioned
guys, go ahead,
Mark
please go,
Hughes.
go
Yeah,
Charge.
you mentioned Mark Hughes. Obviously, he moved over to Overtime Elite and is actually the assistant coach over there. So, who is your coach this year, and how tough's that transition been? Kind of working a new coach's system versus what you had to run last year.
NBA Jam legend coach.
Mark Hughes he's a talented coach. He's a savant of the game, that's for sure. We have LaFonso Ellis coaching us this year, and LaFonso, in the 8 years that I've been doing this, and maybe like my 42 years of existence on this planet, is got to be the most humble person I have ever met in my life. Like, he's the nicest guy. Like, he's the type of guy, he starts off conversations. How are you doing? How's your family? Like, you see him interact with like hotel guests. He's polite. He knows how to relate to the players. This transition is really smooth, really smooth.
Definitely. No, it's definitely high quality. And if you're wondering who LaFonso Ellis is, I'm sorry.
You got that block? You pulling up that block?
This is LaFonso Ellis. This is not a great shot, but this is the NBA Jam legend, LaFonso Ellis. I mean, this is the first time we've had an NBA Jam royalty coaching a team. So not only was he a veteran, he was one of the original players in the original NBA Jam. So, frankly, just on those reasons alone, we're talking about a really great addition to your roster from the coaching staff. So, frankly, I could not be more excited about actually having a coach who is quite literally one of the greatest video games of all time. So that's pretty exciting. So anyway, are you excited to have your team play at one of the most historic venues in college basketball? It's the Pit. I mean, the Pit is an amazing place to play, obviously.
Yeah, I am. I guess I live in Phoenix, so just staying in the Southwest is great for me this year. Like, I do know a lot of basketball players in New Mexico. Like, I see some guys on the website that I'm like, yeah, I know these. New Mexico is an underrated place for basketball. I don't think people give it enough credit. There's a lot of good basketball players here. So it was a good choice by TBT.
So your region's a little top heavy. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit about the teams that are involved. You have a lot of and listen, this is no disrespect. You don't get into TBT by being a bad team. Period. You do not. So if you're in TBT, you're a high quality team. But looking at this bracket real quick, there's a clear top four. Like, there isn't a question that the drop off is at the 4th line. Not that the teams 5, 6, 7, 8 are not good. I will not disrespect them, but you are a prohibitive favorite in game one. You can't think that way. I wouldn't ask you to. But do you think that having a top heavy top four will make the semifinal games that much more exciting?
I'll tell you what I'm going to tell the guys, and I haven't said it to them yet. There were 8 teams that made it to Dayton last year, and 2 of them were 2 seeds. And none of the I mean 2 of them were 1 seeds, and neither of them made the Final Four. No 1 seed made the Final Four last year. So
yeah,
this number 1 thing, it's just a number. Like let's be honest. ALS is every bit
really
as
good
as us. Yeah, every
really
bit as
good.
good as us.
Really good.
Yeah. Like,
that final is going to be if the seeds hold out and it's a Heartfire ALS game, like, that's going to be a war, an absolute war.
Yeah, and Sean Marshall knows what he's doing. He doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't compete in this event to lose. Like he's like me, Matt Mitchell, Billy Clapper. There's like a bunch of us, AJ Mahar. This is a whole bunch of us that just like, no, we're doing this because we want to win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you do have the seeds hold, you'll take on Enchantment at home. And you know a thing or two about playing against a home crowd from West Virginia last year.
The mayor, is the governor, the owner of West Virginia, the owner of West Virginia.
No.
So we
yeah. I mean, just obviously have a little fun with Mike. He
No, it's okay.
You deserve that
We have
win
not-
and to celebrate it. It was a wild series of events, but I
I
bet
have
this year will feel a little bit different.
We have
No,
not
I'm-
released this episode yet, but we interviewed the mayor of Charleston. We were releasing the next couple of days, about a week ago. Really nice lady. She's very good. And she actually said in the interview, I love what the team brought. I love Mike Illiano, and he's absolutely welcome to come back here as a guest, but I never want to see him on a basketball court again.
Oh, is this true?
Yeah, no, I asked her if she remembered your team, and she goes, they were delightful. I hope they come back as visitors, but never to play basketball against my guys again. She could not have been nicer. It was a great interview.
No,
I'm sure it was
we
just
talked
based
about
on
you.
it,
Yeah.
you knocked those guys out, though. I'm sure.
Yeah, I've actually I reached out to Ott recently, I kind of apologized. It was probably my fault,
No, who cares? It was fun. It was
yeah,
fun.
I'm
And Ott's
competitive.
got a sense of humor. Ott's got a sense of humor,
Yeah,
too.
he does. And I saw John Flowers said something on the ESPN thing, and I'm
That
like,
was
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going through something personal last year, and you know how we have transference moments.
Sure.
I think I was going through a transference moment. You guys know what I was going through last year.
Sure.
I told Op the same thing. It's all fun. I wish those guys down there the best of luck. I think West Virginia's got an awesome team. I think Marshall's got an awesome team. It's a shame they don't have Ja'Cory.
It's not called consumption. Since no one listens to the show, I can say it. I'm not going to say who it is, but Ott did tell me personally a couple days ago they have one or two more reinforcements that might tip the balance to West Virginia, which I'm really excited about talking about the next time I see them. So West Virginia just got a little more interesting, it looks like.
Yeah. I just want to say that I think the world of John Elmore as a player. We talk about it here.
What a player.
No, he can go. He could go. Anybody
The
who
only-
thinks he can't play, they're wrong.
The only person I was more disappointed in not seeing him in Summer League besides you, and next year you're coming because we had a great time. You need to come. You're invited and you need to fucking come. John Elmore should have been there. The fact John Elmore is not just cooking these people in Vegas was sick. Why is he not there? I saw guys who can't hold his jock getting minutes. It's ridiculous.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they made the Final 8 and Jimmer made the Final 8, and I think you'd have Ott versus Jimmer. John versus Jimmer. That'd be an interesting matchup.
Nice.
Yeah,
that would be nice. I think Jimmer's got a slightly better shot of getting out of Dayton than Ott does that at West Virginia. But they both have a chance. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I think West Virginia is way more open. I think the money team's definitely walking out of Dayton personally, but I think the West Virginia is a complete mess. So anyway, looking at your matchup, have you started scouting competitive choice yet? Yes, you have, obviously.
What am I supposed to say here? Yeah,
you're supposed to say yes and give me no details.
Yeah,
Give me coach speak and bullshit.
I was a little disappointed that competitive choice did not come with more, because when these guys first started to develop, they were a buy-in team. They came out hot and got Lamar Peters named. Not too long after that, they showed up with Sir Dominic Pointer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, man, this team is going to surprise someone, because their roster was only about 8 or 9 deep at that time. So I thought, man, they're going to add some really high-level guys. And unfortunately, it just didn't come to fruition. So I'm sure you saw that on another show. I'm like, don't be surprised. Competitive choice might surprise Heartfire. I'm going to definitely backpedal on that one a little bit. But, you still got to play the game, and they're just not as deep as I thought they were going to be when this team started to develop.
Yeah, you can't take anyone for granted in this event. You can't. I know, you want to look at that board and be like, oh, that's a win.
That gets you in trouble. Thinking that gets you in trouble.
Anybody can be in the game. I think Newman Goretti was in the game versus Eberline Drive for about 3 quarters. It just happens. It's basketball. You just have to hope that, you just pull away, or you finish it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Mike, I know your time is valuable. We love having you on. We got to do the rest of the preview. So I'm going to let you back to your team. First of all, thanks for coming on. You're always a friend of the program. And please come on to one of our live shows, talk about hopefully many Heartfire wins. Again, you're my pick to win the whole thing. And I hate to curse you with that. I mean, because you obviously don't want me picking you to win the whole thing. That's like the last thing you wanted to hear.
If it makes you feel better, I picked Enchantment to bump you, so we'll offset it. Going with the Aftershocks logic, they had the home crowd behind them and kind of rode that wave. So, but you can't win the TBT bracket without taking some chances in there. So Heartfire, I think, is going to be probably in the top 3 of choices, along with like Bayheim's, and so you got to change it up sometimes. So that's where I changed it up, and we'll see what happens, Mike. You can give me grief later.
And
no,
Mike,
I'm not. Yeah. I'm not like that. I wouldn't give.
No, you're not.
It's a.
And you have to come. And you have to come back. You're coming to Summer League next year. It's not even a question. We'll plan it earlier, and you don't have an option. It's non-optional. Okay.
It's non-optional.
Non-optional. Required. Presence required. Same for both of you morons. We had a good time, and I missed you both. All right, Mike Illiano, GM of Team Heartfire. Thanks for coming by, buddy. Dude, I love Mike. Mike's the man.
Yeah, he's good people. Yeah, we got to spend a lot of time with him in West Virginia last year, so just a good time catching up with him.
The owner of West Virginia, the undefeated champion of West Virginia. He apologized. He was just talking mad shit in a really funny way. That was
it was fun. Just the thing that made it the most fun is Mike's the nicest guy in the world. It was just
and he wasn't
out
for like 3 minutes
out of character for him. Yeah, just the heat of the moment and the excitement of the game.
Like,
I mean, that game was just nuts.
Loved it.
Obviously, great guy.
Loved it.
All right, let's buzz through here.
Well, the good news is we covered now pretty much our Heartfire preview. Obviously, a really talented squad with Mike. They're loaded. We see them, despite having your boy Sir Donovan Pointer.
Yeah,
not really going to be a problem.
I don't see too much here. Not a lot of depth.
Let's get to the money shot. Then. Let's get right into this game. It's going to be real interesting, which is the Enchantment versus the Panamaniacs. Which will be an interesting matchup. First of all, this game's interesting since it's the in-state rival. So we'll look at the Enchantment first. One thing about Enchantment is that they're being coached by an NBA veteran in head coach Kenny Thomas, which is fantastic. They're playing at not only their home floor, but an historic home floor. No reason they can't win a game or two in this. They might have a tough thing in a Heartfire. I know you love at least the name of Pancake Thomas. What in this roster stands out to you?
Yeah, no, I picked up on Pancake last year. When I first read it, I'm like, this must be a big dude, but he's like a 6'4" guard. And so, I think with Enchantment, I mentioned earlier, I just had a great vibe about them last year. And if they were just a little deeper last year, they wouldn't have blown that lead and would have gone a little bit deeper in the tournament because I did predict them to go deeper last year. I'm going to, like I said, take them over Heartfire this year. So they'll be a little more prepared for TBT. But they're, just a loaded team as well. So you're going to, start things off with Giddens, who, just absolute phenomenal player. Scott Bamforth could just knock down shots, a phenomenal shooter. And so he got veteran guys like Drew Gordon in there that's going to come in and make an impact. Anthony Mathis is just an incredible shooter as well. So I think they have, good balance of the crowd, some depth, some veteran leadership. And I think this is just going to be a very, very solid team. Yeah, they have some age too, which I pick on Mike about that. So if these guys do take on Heartfire round 2, this may be the oldest matchup between the two teams in the TBT
Definitely,
history.
They need to make this game the early games. It will be a bit of a senior dinner, like the
AARP.
Yeah.
We're going all the way up to 37 with Giddens, but he's still going to take care of his business. We know that.
He's not going to fuck around. Yeah,
but I think Bamforth is the guy here. I think he's going to come out and he's played well in the TBT in the past and will continue to do so. So, going to be a great team, a great game because Panamaniacs obviously is going to have a following, so it's probably going to be like a West Virginia Herd that situation where you're going to have kind of the big brother and the little brother, but both fan bases are going to show up and support.
Yeah, I do find this interesting because I was looking at the roster of Panamaniacs, and a lot of these guys haven't played pro as recently. Some of these guys haven't played pro in 5 years, so they don't have the depth of recent professional experience some of their competitors have, and they are obviously the smaller program. I really wanted to see Teddy Buckets, the guy who played this year for them, on this roster. I badly did. It didn't happen. That would have been fantastic. But this is a team that's really always, they're a WAC contender. They're always a dangerous team in college. What I love about the New Mexico Regional in general is there are a lot of really weird little conferences that a lot of people who aren't college basketball fans understand, like the Mountain West, the WAC, have a lot of really quality programs. There's a bit of an interesting sort of mountain, sort of painted sunset vibe to this roster. A lot of late basketball parties. So I kind of love this, but like, I don't think the depth of roster really compares to the New Mexico alum. I don't see this being on paper a competitive game, but again, rivalry games always have a way of overshadowing that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, when we had Kenny on, he said he's never lost to the New Mexico State team, and it's not going to start in TBT. So, there is that rivalry. Not a lot of experience on this Panamaniacs team. Brandon West did play in the TBT. I can't remember what team now, but he had a nice game against Eberline Drive, and you can see some of his numbers from overseas, 6.9 points per game and 10.8 rebounds. So I think that's going to be the guy who probably shows up on the stat sheet. I know Zach Lofton was picked up recently. I know some folks are big on them, but those are the two guys you're probably going to be looking for to lead the Panamaniacs if they can pull this upset off.
We both see the enchantment walking away with a win in this one, correct?
Yeah, I would be surprised if that didn't happen.
Okay, now it gets a little more interesting. So we're now going to look at the Cheaters versus Ram Up. Now I'm kind of fascinated by both these squads for different reasons. First of all, there's been 3 new alumni teams in this bracket. You've got the Ram Up, you've got we'll talk about once a Bronco men, and you have the Panamaniacs versus the Drew League Stalwarts. Now the thing about these guys is they don't have a ton of guys on the roster, but the thing is the Drew League always brings quality. And having a recent NBA veteran like James Ennis, who just played in the league last year, gives them a huge talent burst. With Casper Ware pulling the trigger and Ennis is the wing shooter, you're looking at a pretty strong roster here, right?
Yeah, I think the big thing here is the depth. The thing with the Cheaters is they've had some really, really strong teams in the past, but just really haven't shown up and gone too deep. But when you look at Casper Ware, James Ennis, and Will Davis, those are guys that can really go out there and score and take care of their business. They're going to be a gritty team. They come from the Drew League, so they're going to be ready to play and face some of the best competition every summer preparing for this. So I think they're going to come out. I think they get that nice matchup against Ram Up, so hopefully can gel and get some things going before they take on what's likely to be Team Challenge ALS. But it'd be interesting to see if they make any more moves. Obviously, we're not quite to the 72-hour deadline. So as Hainer mentioned yesterday and numerous times, these rosters are in flux, and if you follow the TBT today, that was there. So I can't recall when these games start, but they're now.
We have completely given up on the rosters being 100% accurate. We did these rosters on a spreadsheet about a week and a half ago. They've been in flux. So if your player's not there, you think we didn't know, we're trying, but the EBT roster churn is a real thing.
Yeah.
I still owe you 2 players for our fancy drafts. I lost 2. I think everybody lost 2 or 3.
You're up to 3 now.
Who else did I lose?
Oh, who did you lose? Let me go see. I messaged you.
It's not that important. I don't really care.
But I mean, I got it right here. But just for fun, you have Will Coleman, your boy.
What?
Will Coleman is out. So. But
my sentimental pick is out.
Your sentimental pick was, I guess that's the good thing for Hainer is most of the guys who have dropped off of his team have been a little bit lower in the draft, unlike Luke, who lost Blake.
Mooney hurts me.
Mooney hurt. He would have led the team.
Mooney hurts me a lot. Yeah,
but So anyway, I think they're probably going to add something here. I would be surprised if they didn't beef up just a little bit more than they are right now.
I fully expect Jacory to just jump on a plane somewhere at some point. So anyway, Ram Up. Resurgent Mountain West Conference, ready to give the Drew League Legends a fight. They do have a former big in the NBA, and Jason Smith is a little older, but I mean, played recently for the Wizards. He's definitely, and having a 7-footer of NBA experience, if you can get him the ball, is a major advantage. Does Ram Up have to play physical and slow this down to beat the Drew League Legends of LA Cheaters?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cheaters aren't going to back down, so they're not going to get surprised by anything they see. And you should have Matt on to give us the scouting report on Jason Smith. Obviously, Washington Wizards legend that Jason Smith is. But I think these guys are going to struggle. They don't really have, a whole lot of high level experience. Prentice Nixon did play in the TBT in the past, had a really solid game against the Aftershocks and a loss to the Aftershocks. But this one here, I think, is just going to be, can they get a little bit of energy? I think people like to root for the underdogs, and so let's see if they can't put something together. But this is going to be a tough run for them.
I also find it interesting too, because you talk about teams that like have followings versus not. Like the top of this bracket is the teams that are the TBT community teams, your Heartfires, your ALS, your cheaters. The teams that don't have a built-in following and have developed followings within our community the last few years, but don't have an alumni base, don't have a regional base. So I'm not sure. Do you think there's enough CSU fans in the area to help maybe tip the scales?
No, they're going to have to rely on basketball fans to pull for them, So I mean, and I don't know the lineup of the games, but if they're lucky and get back to back with New Mexico, people are going to root for the underdog. So
conference mates too.
Yeah, so I think you can see something like that happening, especially if they get an early run. Like Mike was saying, there's a lot of teams that come out and just really catch some teams off guard and compete for 2-3 quarters before kind of the better on paper team pulls away. But so some difference got to happen here, and can't say they won't upset them, but I just don't see this one happening at all.
Now, here is the heavyweight bout in a team you and I both love, and you love just a little bit more. Challenge ALS versus Once Up Bronco. We'll start with the heavyweights. And again, the color has changed this year, and I forgot to change on another slide. But Challenge ALS, I mean, look, these guys just come correct. They've got a little bit of an Everline flavor because Randall was an Everline legend, obviously. So you have some talent from there. Rion Brown from the now defunct Cat 5 teams. So you have some guys who have played for TBT and other teams. But I mean, the guy here is obviously Marvell Harris, right? It's a big gunner here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't see a weakness in here. I mean, you didn't mention Anthony Brown, who's an NBA guy and can score. Stephon Branch is just so good defensively. A couple years back, I mean, he just dominated the TBT. He had I think 2 or 3 games with ALS that year and averaged almost 47 fantasy points per game. It was just ridiculous. So
that's a lot, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's not bad at all. Julian Gamble played with Armored Athlete to 1 year and put on a good show. So he's going to be solid as well. So you get that kind of Miami connection with him and Rion Brown. But yeah, this team is really good, really deep. Jerome Randall looks healthy, so a healthy Jerome Randall is going to go a long way at this TBT event. But I mean, these guys are just hungry. They got the resources. They're going to do really, really well. And of course, Julian Newman. We'll see what he has. Obviously, he's that viral sensation. He had the kid from Mount Union last year. So they have kind of put some social interest into their team as well, just to kind of spotlight and get some buzz. So we'll see how that goes.
Sounds good. Okay, and then obviously against Once a Bronco, a quality team, but like this will be a massive upset. They can pull it off, right? Like this would be a pretty big lift.
Yeah. This one here, like I said, it very similar to Ram Up. Some guys play some D1 ball. They're going to be able to play. They're going to be able to fight. But when you're taking on this ALS team, and I really hope Boise State comes back and builds on this year. The company I work for, I cover the Boise market, so I'm rooting for them. But ALS is just going to be too much to handle.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see this happening. I think Once a Bronco probably gets run out the building, since we both think that probably means they'll win the game.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely wrong. Speaking of picks, let's get to the picks. Now, we're pretty much in lockstep here until you get to the regional champion. And I don't think there's really a wrong pick here. I think we basically pretty much in agreement. We do have a different regional champ. I don't think either one of those would be a surprise to anyone. I'm with Heartfire because of the experience. I'm concerned because they went so deep last year as a team 23, and those teams have a tendency to crap out early. So I'm either going to be extremely right or they're going to lose in the second round, as you said. That's basically what it boils down to, because if they get a couple games on their belts, they're walking out of there. But ALS is pretty hard to bet against. I assume you picked them just because they're just so damn good.
Yeah, I think they're just deep. And, like I said, it's kind of 2 reasons I pick against Heartfire, and last year I kind of did the same thing against Eberline. We're in the fantasy games, we're in the bracket challenges, and you got to pick a little bit different somewhere along the line. And so this year, I know there's going to be a lot of money behind Heartfire. So Enchantment's at home, so I think they can surprise them there. And then obviously, ALS is a strong team. But just trying to be a little different here. But I don't think anyone would be surprised if Heartfire came out of this region again. But Challenge ALS has a solid team. I think a little more versatility. So we'll see. Obviously, Mike said his team's very versatile at different positions and moving in and out. So
lots of length. They're very long.
They're very long, as we heard from Mike a number of times. But so I think this is going to be a great chess match if these two end up colliding in the regional finals like we believe they will. Yeah,
it'll be pretty interesting too. I mean, so of all the regions that we're not traveling to, I believe you're trying to go to Cincy and a little bit of West Virginia and a little bit of Dayton. I'm going to Rucker, Syracuse, and we're meeting in West Virginia for at least one day. Where does this rank in the regions that you wanted to go to but weren't able to make? This is my number 2. I would have loved to go to New Mexico. This is one that I really wish I was kind of at.
Yeah, it would have been between this and Wichita. Obviously, this one's newer, so it has some new appeal. We've seen Wichita on TV, but I like some of the teams that were going to Wichita as well. Always love to catch up with the guys from Eberline, and that Wichita environment, I think, is going to be amazing. So I'm not sure how ticket sales are going between New Mexico and Wichita currently. They're both going to probably be, just amazing experiences. But yeah, it would have been a toss-up between this and Wichita.
It's funny is one place I bet ticket sales are very healthy is Xavier. That will actually be our next preview. We'll get to later tonight. But anyway, Charge, I guess this kind of closes our New Mexico preview. Any final thoughts?
No, like I said, we'll be turning this right over to Xavier, so don't want to talk too much, but look for ALS and Heartfire to just really take over this region and have a great regional matchup.
Should be a war. Guys, this has been the New Mexico Regional Preview, and this is Charge and Hayner signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.